All right, so theft won't happen in future. Theft won't happen in future without officials knowing.
In the diamond sector, we are reserving that sector to government parastatal. And already, the work that already has been done and the transparency, we are now being able to get on a daily basis production figures which we didn't used to get in the past.
All right, but you have got a huge challenge. I started by saying to you, you've got a poison chalice. We talked about food, basic need, of course. People have to have food.
Yeah, sure.
Another basic need is health care. The state of your hospitals.
Yes, no,
it's terrible, isn't it?
Yes, yes, I admit.
Out-of-date panic.
Yes, I admit as long as you also admit where the genesis of the problem.
Well, let's
you have to admit, when sanctions were imposed, it crippled our capacity. We no longer had a functioning economy overnight. The formal sector collapsed, and it became
When were the sanctions imposed? The sanctions weren't there from day one, were they?
No, they were there.
Not from day one.
No,
not from 1986.
No, from 2000.
Exactly, not from 1986.
No, but up to 2000.
Okay, well, let me just
give it to us.
Okay,
up to 2000, we were honoring our obligations. Our health sector was in good condition. So was the education sector. And notwithstanding these challenges, by the way, notwithstanding these challenges, we have remained in pole position with respect to all those things here.
All right, before 1980, look at life expectancy. Life expectancy 1980 was 59 and a half years of age for the average Zimbabwean. It's now 57 and a half.
You are not taking
but so I'm saying first, the sanctions are not, you can't
the 1980 figures were basically of a small number of a population, the white population. If you are talking about those life expectancies, they were to do with a small population. Since independence, we have spent millions into education, expansion of education, expansion of the health sector. And I think we should be given credit for that.
But the fact...
Something that was not there before independence. People would go hungry before independence, they would not be fed.
But I should just...
but only the President Mugabe's government is able to undertake a feeding of the entire population, something that never happened in the history of colonialism.
So we've just talked about your hospitals. You know, some of Zimbabwe's major public hospitals are so poorly stocked they can't even provide cotton wool or basic painkillers. Harare's health director, Prospero Chonzi, says 6 cases of typhoid have been confirmed, with more expected to emerge. So, you know, you might have a typhoid outbreak.
When you want to dwell on the negative,
No,
because there are good success stories. The fact that after this pounding, we have remained resilient and able to have any health system still worth talking about is good credit for us. It's just that you are not appreciating and accepting.
These are not my words, though, Minister. These are not me. Can I tell you who it is? Can I tell you one critic? Health and Childcare Minister David Pariniaditwa said of the huge healthcare shortage, as a ministry, it concerns us that government should do something urgent about this, and that something is through the Minister of Finance. You're being asked to sort out this mess.
But
this is your colleague saying that.
As I explain even to my colleagues and to whoever bothers to listen, we are coming from a very bad situation, which you say was a poisoned chalice. You rightly pointed out. And to climb out of that difficult situation will take time. It's a process, not an event. And above all, we need to have an economy that is performing so that we can address all those issues that you're mentioning.
But people are now openly criticizing the government. Even Robert Mugabe himself. I mean, Zimbabwean Broadcasting Corporation carried a report in January blaming the government for the latest drug shortages. And the state broadcasters, you know, is rarely critical of the ruling ZANU-PF government. But all right, but you know, they are now saying, and it's not just the state broadcaster, you've got young people inside and outside Zimbabwe saying enough is enough. You know, the authorities are being openly criticised. Even as I said, one of your colleagues is saying something has got to be done about this woeful state of affairs.
Yes, something which we have now crafted a path out of all those challenges. But it has to be understood it's a process and not an event. We need to get all the factors together to make the economy grow again. which it is not.
Yeah, but when people look at the, I have to say this to you really, the president's daughter gives birth recently in Singapore. And we've discussed how bad the hospitals are. Maternity health care in particular is awful. And they see the president's daughter jetting off to give birth somewhere else. How do you think most Zimbabweans would view that?
No. I think I've already said.
But what do you think of that particular example?
We accept that the health situation is not where it should be.
And if you've got money, as she clearly has...
And we are working very hard to mend the situation, to improve the situation.
You don't want to comment on
It's not
bonus.
a process, it's not an event, it's a process. And that is exactly
I'm with
what
you on
we
that.
are doing.
But you don't want to comment on the fact that Zimbabweans might get fed up when they see that their hospitals are unable to treat the sick.
It's their opinion.
What's your opinion?
It's their opinion.
What's your opinion when the president's daughter goes abroad?
We should have a situation where we can, by all means, make sure that most Zimbabweans are treated at home and not outside.
Okay.
So the situation where some Zimbabweans feel that they should go outside the country, clearly it needs attention. And that is precisely what we are saying.
All right, so
we need a performing economy in order to make that happen.
You are trying to now open up new credit lines with the IMF and the World Bank. You want to pay back the arrears, not on the principal loan, about 8 billion, to the IMF and the World Bank, because so you can try and get some money to prop up your economy. But it's a bit ironic, isn't it, now that the Zimbabwean government is trying to get help from the very same institutions of whom a large number of their members are the very people that you have blamed for getting you in this mess?
Please get this clear. We are a shareholder in the World Bank. We are a shareholder in the African Development Bank. We are a shareholder in the IMF. So as a shareholder,
the ones who call the shots
we
are
are
the countries
entitled. And for your information, even with the African Development Bank, we are the largest shareholder in Southern Africa. So all we are doing
Not
in
about
the
the IMF and World Bank.
Yes, all we are doing in the engagement is to try to enjoy the benefits of our membership, access to credit. And their rules provide, as it turns out, that we cannot enjoy those benefits until we clear our arrears. So the engagement is about clearing areas so that we enjoy the benefits of our membership. And we are not embarrassed by that.
All right, so you are going to hope, and have you had a good reception?
Yes, we had a very good engagement. Right. And the engagement is not overnight one. We started almost when I came in as Minister of Finance. It had just started. We have been working on a staff monitored program, and we have been meeting our targets, qualitative, quantitative, and structural targets. The last targets we met were December last year, and the IMF is reasonably happy with the way we have been running the economy.
Confidence is very, very low.
Sure.
And we know that you started using the US dollar in 2009 when your own currency was destroyed by hyperinflation. And now we see long queues formed by depositors at the banks in Zimbabwe seeking their money, and because there are worries about cash shortages, and you want to bring in one new measure aimed at halting the flow of US dollars from Zimbabwe called bond notes. And these would act as a kind of cash substitute only in Zimbabwe. They wouldn't have any value outside the country. And this is increasing anxiety in your country.
You need again to understand our unique situation. We are one of 3 countries in the world which don't have their own currency, which means that we don't have a policy tool to address any shocks that happen, whether they're external shocks or internal shocks. But what's worse for us is that we use the US dollar for financing domestic transactions, petty though they may be. We use the US dollar for paying wages. No other country has ever done that. For buying tomatoes at the market, buying onions, we use the US dollar. And our difficulty arose when the US dollar started appreciating. Because we don't
I understand the reasons, but it's your remedy. It's your remedy. It's causing anxiety.
But the remedy, yes, we know when people are faced with change, and we needed to change, and there is no person right now, internally and externally, who can say that the usage of the US dollar for domestic financing is sustainable.
So it's the return of the Zimbabwe dollar through the back door.
It's not.
Which is what Tendai Biti, the former finance minister,
said. He may say so. It's not. This bond notes is coming in as an export incentive.
But it's not. It's causing a lot of problems. Look, I just tell you, Fred Moore-Kabirwa, a shopkeeper north of Ferrari, says it's zombie money made for nothing.
It has not come. It has not come.
No, I know,
and
but
the exporters are not complaining because this is to benefit exporters because our store of US values of stock of US dollars comes from exports. And we wanted to incentivize the exporters.
So you will bring in these bond notes if you can.
We are saying bond notes will only be issued relative to the volume of exports. No exports, no issuance of bond notes. And it's backed, by the way, by a $200 million US facility from Afrexim Bank.
From the African Export-Import Bank.
The story about it useless and so on, it can only come from people.
Well, you're going to have to calm the worries in your own country.
You know, the criticism that I'm getting now is that they are too late in coming.
Okay, well, that's a view of some people. The Zimbabwean Investment Authority Chairman Nigel Chanakira says there's very little support at a recent meeting of his delegates who said they're opposed to it. But you know, this economic uncertainty is fed by political uncertainty because your president is 92. With all respect to somebody his age, there's no succession plan.
No, listen, each country has a right to travel its own path in history. And in the case of our president, yes, he's 92, but you must also know the long path he has traveled, almost since 1958. Yeah, so he has definite views about the destiny of Zimbabwe. And he remains in place to ensure that the trajectory he wants to set for Zimbabwe will be there even after he's gone.
People are beginning to call out now, you know, that they think it's time for him to go in the country. You know, they are beginning to say that. Could Grace, his wife, I must ask you, could Grace, his wife, succeed him?
No. To be honest, to be fair to us, ZANU-PF remains a very solid, cohesive, formidable political force in Zimbabwe. And all the instability that you are talking about, it's not within our party.
So it won't be Grace who succeeds him, because she got a PhD in 5 months, didn't she? Record time to try and pick her up.
Don't use the platform to try to insult her.
No, I'm not, but she did get...
Well, because she's not the subject matter of our discussion.
But she has been...
We are talking about the age of our president, and I'm saying, as far as Zimbabweans are concerned, we are happy. And as far as ZANU-PF is concerned, we are happy. And essentially, the president wants to leave this country on a trajectory in terms of values, in terms of destiny, which will not be reversible. And as far as ZANU-PF is concerned, we are saying anyone who wants to contest, they feel free. They feel free. And if the population agrees with them, of course, it means the result will be otherwise. But we should not be dictated to when we choose our leader.
Finance Minister of Zimbabwe, Patrick Chinamasa, thank you very much indeed for coming on HARDtalk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.